Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting of the City Council for Monday, November 3rd, 2025 to order, and apologize again for our delayed start. I'm Frank Sweeney. The mayor is gone this evening, unavoidably traveling. And with that, we are going to change our agenda just a tad. We as a council have, given the light of current events, decided we wish to issue a proclamation, and we're going to do that now. And then I will proceed with our agenda from then. This is going to be a proclamation from the city of Whitefish, Montana, recognizing and supporting the North Valley Food Bank and the rights for food security. Whereas food insecurity in America is the limited or uncertain ability of a household to acquire adequate food, a condition primarily caused by poverty, low wages, unemployment. And whereas food insecurity has grave consequences impacting the physical and mental health as well as the cognitive development and academic performance in children. And whereas the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced its plans to freeze payments for the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, starting November 1, because it stated that it can no longer maintain funding due to the government shutdown. Whereas the SNAP program serves about 1 in 8 Americans, that includes some 77,000 Montanans, making it a significant social safety net, particularly for children. And whereas the loss of funding for SNAP leaves millions with uncertainty about how they will feed themselves and their families. And whereas, despite recent rulings from the federal courts, the administration must fund SNAP with its reserve funds, benefits will be delayed in November and possibly longer, depending upon the outcome of the lawsuits. And whereas the North Valley Food Bank is a vital resource for members of our community to minimize food insecurity, serving 1,200 to 1,500 individuals per week. And whereas the North Valley Food Bank estimates that a 200% increase in community need if SNAP is not fully funded. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed, the city of Whitefish recognizes food security as a core value and principle for our community. The city of Whitefish pledges to assist the North Valley Food Bank in whatever fashion it can to make sure our neighbors don't go hungry. And to that end, the city of Whitefish is encouraging all residents and visitors to contribute whatever time, money, and food they can to the North Valley Food Bank or to other programs that provide food security and basic human dignity to every member of our community. Declared this the third day of November 2025, the Whitefish City Council. And to that end, this is not part of a proclamation, we as a council have all agreed, and we are all committed to providing support, physical and otherwise, to the North Valley Food Bank. We are committed to encouraging the city, any individual attending any public meeting here at City Hall to consider bringing a donation for the food bank when they come to the City Hall. We will post this invitation on each and every public meeting agenda between now and the end of the year, or for as long as is necessary. So we thank you, and we are committed to supporting your organization. With that, we'll proceed with our Pledge of Allegiance for this evening. And Sophie, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we proceed to communications from the public. This is communications from any member of the public that wish to speak to the City Council regarding any matter that is not otherwise a public hearing this evening. Anybody wish to speak?
Normally and clearly. Okay, here we go. Normally and clearly. For the record, Z 418 East 2nd Street. So first, I want to say that recognizing food insecurity and the devastating impact of the cuts to SNAP benefits is without question worthy of official acknowledgement, so thank you for that. In keeping with the theme of caring for our most vulnerable in our community, it is time, City Council, to designate the pride flag as the official flag of the city of Whitefish. LGBTQIA+ youth are 3 to 4 times more likely than their heterosexual and cisgender peers to attempt suicide. Steve, I am appealing to you as an educator who has lost students to suicide to take the lead on this issue. As a private citizen, you have been an outspoken advocate for social justice on a local podcast. I am asking you to be bold and courageous as a member of the City Council. Do whatever needs to be done to place this request on the agenda. Hold a public hearing and vote. Missoula, Bozeman, and Whitefish. That sounds like a humanitarian trifecta to me. Let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Z.
Good evening, Sophie Albert, living at 1508 West Lakeshore Drive. And I just want to thank the City Council as the Executive Director of the North Valley Food Bank for your support during this challenging time. We all know food insecurity is a real issue in our community, and it's deeply connected to a lot of root causes like housing insecurity and not appropriate pay for many of our working members in our community who serve us at the restaurant. So I think we want to see those all as holistic issues in our community and address them together. And I think this is a great step in the right direction. I deeply appreciate your support. We will likely see more than 1,500 community members come to us in these coming weeks. And I also want to share with everyone that if you know anyone in our city who is experiencing food insecurity, everyone is welcome at North Valley Food Bank. It doesn't matter what your zip code is, it doesn't matter where you live, and it doesn't matter what your background is. You can come to us. So thank you to the city of Whitefish and our community for your support.
Thanks, Sophie. Anyone else? Anyone online, Michelle?
Any of those that are attending virtually, if you would like to address the council for anything that is not advertised as a public hearing, please raise your hand by accessing the React button and hitting the raised hand. Mary Drew. Nope. Sorry, that was my hand. We're good.
Good, thank you. With that, I'll close the public comment and ask for any communications from any volunteer boards that are in the audience this evening. Not seeing any volunteer board reports from the council. Giuseppe?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm speaking on behalf of the Bike Ped Committee that today met and voted to support moving forward with the Central Avenue pedestrian pilot. It would close one block from Railway to First Avenue to vehicles from Friday at 5 p.m. to Sunday at 5 p.m. for 7 consecutive weekends this coming summer, allowing full pedestrian use, outdoor dining, and community activities. The block from 1st and 2nd Street, which is to the south of it, will remain untouched and be used as a control block, meaning comparing data after the pilot. Staff will measure traffic and business-related volume trends, up or down, and after the data is collected, both staff and the council can decide how to proceed.
Thanks. Steve?
Yeah, I just want to say that yesterday I got to cut the ribbon at the newest section of the Whitefish Trail that was just opened last night. It's 1.6 miles of trail that connects Rainbow Lake over to Murray Lake. And it's a really neat section of trail that at the very top of it has 360-degree wide open views that are really cool. You can see Great Northern, you can see Big Mountain, you can see all the Salish Mountains to the south. Pretty cool spot, beautiful time of year. Get up there before it's all covered in snow if you want to go check it out. So it was quite an eye-opener yesterday.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? Not seeing any, we'll move on to our consent agenda, and with that, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any comment or revisions? All those in favor? All those opposed, like sign. Matter passes unanimously. On to our public hearings this evening. Our first is an ordinance going to be number 25-13, an ordinance amending section 3.10 and 5.9 of the Architectural Review Standards of the City of Whitefish. Is this you, Dave?
Nope.
Oh,
me.
there we go. I'm looking in the wrong spot. Sorry.
Okay. This last summer, the council adopted ordinance 2507, which is an amendment to the formula business. It used to be called formula retail, and we changed the term to formula business. After that was adopted, we realized that in the Architectural Review Standards, we also referenced formula retail. And so this is simply aligning that new definition to the Architectural Review Standards. So the Community Development Board, soon to be the Planning Commission, held a public hearing on October 16th. No one from the public spoke, and the Community Development Board unanimously recommended approval. So it is simply changing the term formula retail to formula business. Can I answer any questions for you?
Any questions for Wendy? Not seeing it. Oh, Ben.
So we're updating the architectural standards?
Right. Yeah,
Yes,
there's two
not the
references.
ordinance.
No. Well, it is adopted by ordinance, so
It
it
is
has the
adopted by
same,
ordinance.
strength as a zoning regulation.
Okay,
There's two references, both in the highway district and then in the area north of the viaduct. Those are the two areas where formula business could be located.
okay. And then the only question I had was, there is, and I don't know if this is part of the architectural, well, maybe this is part of the enabling ordinance, but the ordinance says the formula business standards, and it has, for purposes of this section, you can do bars and lounges, check cashing outlets, payday lenders, et cetera. It has a list of them.
Right, and that's the ordinance that was adopted in July.
Okay, so we're not reviewing that
You're not
tonight.
reviewing that ordinance, it was just in there, so you
Okay.
remember what we did. It's only the 3.10 and the 5.9
Okay,
of the
then
architectural
I'm
review
just gonna
standards.
skip my question because it's not relevant. Thank you.
Thanks, Anybody else? We advertised for a public hearing, and I would like to open the public hearing now. Any member of the public wishes to speak to this matter? Nobody's rushing to the mic here. Anybody online?
For those of you who are interested in speaking towards this item, architectural review, please raise your hand by clicking the hand icon in your react button. We're good.
Good. I'll close the public hearing at this time and ask for a motion and discussion.
Mr. Deputy Mayor,
I think Rebecca was,
Oh,
had her hand
sorry.
up. Good. Rebecca.
Okay. I move to amend ordinance number 25-13, which amends section 3.10 and 5.9, which are architectural review standards of the Whitefish City Code. It's the first reading, WZTA-25-05. And it changes the language from formula retail to formula business.
I second it.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed, like sign. Matter passes unanimously, Michelle. Next, we'll move on to our next public hearing. Consideration of a request from Andiamo Project LLC. Did I did that? Okay, good. Samuel Danauer for a conditional use permit to use a beer and wine license located at 309 Central Avenue, Zone WB3. Here we go.
Good evening. So this request is for that beer and wine license at 309 Central Avenue, more commonly known as a Wild Coffee. A bit background on this conditional use permit. In 2021, the Planning Board approved a CUP for a beer and wine lounge at 12 Spokane Avenue in connection with the applicant's food service business. The food service operation is no longer active, and the applicant now seeks to transfer the beer and wine license to their other business. As this constitutes a new location and use, a new CUP is required. The proposed use of the beer and wine license will be accessory to the cafe as a component of the business, and no casino is proposed with this request, as the subject property does not have a casino overlay that would permit the use. Adjacent properties are zoned WB3, and they are commercial uses to the west, south, and east, as well as a church to the north. We did public noticing conducted from September 23rd through October 1st. This included a sign posted at the business, a letter sent out to adjacent landowners, as well as a legal published in the local newspaper. My staff report included criteria for the conditional use permit. Some of those findings was that the proposed use complies with the growth policy designation, as well as zoning regulations. There were no anticipated neighborhood community impact. That includes traffic, noise, dust, smoke. It was also found that the proposed use is compatible with neighborhood and community mass scale, density, and overall context. Staff respectfully recommend approval along with the Whitefish Community Development Board recommendation from October 16th. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? Oh, Rebecca.
Could you review the hours of operation and whether or not they'll be selling alcohol to the public for taking out, like for retail?
Sorry, could you repeat that last part?
Well, like Trover is selling wine now, so they also have cooking classes, so some of it was to help with that part of their business, but they also are selling wine, and so I'm just curious, is this establishment also going to be selling alcohol to take out of the business?
As far as I'm aware of, it will be pours from the existing counter where coffee is serviced at. Sam might be able to address a little bit more about if wholesale, retail, or whatever it may be, might be included in that. So let him address that when he comes up. As far as the hours, it will be from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. will be the operations. And that will include sales of alcohol.
Any other questions for Lauren on her staff report? We'll open the public hearing now, and as is our tradition, if the proponent is here wants to speak to it, please step forward and you can be first.
Hello, Sam Downhoward, 10 Marina Crest Lane in Whitefish. To answer your question there, our license does allow for retail sales. So if you were to come in and buy a bottle, you could take it out with you. Right now, it's our intention to just offer mimosas with our establishment, maintaining our current hours, 7 to 3 o'clock. But as I guess customary with the liquor board, it's kind of a use it or lose it license. So for the time being, we're just going to transfer it over to Wild because I think it'd fit in well nice there. Sure.
Do you think you might be expanding your business hours to do a bar down there at some point?
To do what?
To do more of like a bar setting in the evening?
No,
Oh, okay,
I don't.
all right, thanks.
Any questions from council for the proponent? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
We advertise for public hearing. Anybody wish to speak to this matter? No rush to the microphone here. Anybody online, Michelle? Nope. Not seeing any. I'll close the public hearing now and turn it back to council for a motion. Giuseppe?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I move to approve, I hope I get the numbers right, conditional use permit 25-09, is it? Beer wine license at 309 Central Avenue.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, I'm very excited to see that we have andiamo and trovare, and it's not trovare, it's trovare, which means we go and we find. And we have mimosas already on Central. I cannot wait to have a mimosa, so I cannot fly the whole day. Thank you.
Thanks, Giuseppe. Any other comments? Go ahead, Rebecca.
Just, I think it's a nice addition to that section of downtown to have some adult beverages and the possibility of more places to hang out. It gets kind of quiet, and I think it's a nice addition.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any further comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? All those opposed, like sign. Again, the matter passes unanimously, Michelle. Moving on to our last public hearing for the evening. It's a consideration of a request from the Whitefish Riverfront Hotel LLC for a conditional use permit to expand the hotel into a second building located at 920 Spokane Avenue.
All right.
Randy.
So again, the conditional use permit is a request to expand the Riverfront Hotel, which used to be the Pine Lodge Inn, by converting an existing office building to the south into 9 1- to 3-bedroom suites that would include full kitchens. No changes are proposed to the scale, mass, footprint of the building. It'll all be interior remodels to convert it to a hotel suites. These units would be part of the overall hotel rental pool, and they'll have access to the same hotel amenities. They have like a pool and other spaces. The two will continue to share the existing parking lot, access, some new landscaping. They're going to reorient the parking area. And then again, those two accesses off of Spokane Avenue will be maintained. A conditional use permit is required for hotels and then requires for the expansion of a use that requires a conditional use permit. So that is why we are here tonight. The entire property is 2.6 acres, currently developed with a hotel and office building. It is surrounded by commercial uses, the Whitefish River, and a hotel. It is zone WB2, has a general highway commercial zoning or growth policy designation. It is served by all public services and facilities. We did notice adjacent landowners and do all of our regular public noticing, and we did not receive any comments from any neighbors. Again, it is general highway commercial, and the WB2 is compliant with that land use designation. It does comply with the zoning regulations. We do have a definition of hotel, which I put in the staff report for your review. And according to the application, the proposal meets the definition of a hotel, and staff is recommending in the Community Development Board that it continues to operate as a hotel and not as short-term rentals. There is no impact on the setbacks because the footprint of the building is not changing. They're required to have 90 parking spaces, and they have 93 on site. In our mixed-use non-residential development standards, they need to have a little bit of bike parking, so we're also recommending that as a condition of approval. The site, there's adequate area, meets all the access requirements. It is along the Whitefish River, which, as you know, has a top-of-bank river buffer, plus a 75 feet, whichever is greater, plus a 20-foot setback. The buildings, retaining wall, and the accessory facilities, they all predate our regulations that were approved in 2008, so they're legal non-conforming structures. Any changes or additions would require full compliance with the water quality protection regulations. The parking lot location, traffic circulation is all going to remain the same. Open spaces, they do have some space down to the Whitefish River Trail, which is a nice amenity for the folks that are staying there. They are updating their parking lot, and so they're going to be adding some landscaping in that area that will meet our new landscaping chapter. Water and sewer are available. Traffic should be less than an office building, and it didn't exceed 200 trips, so they didn't need to do a TIS. There are no proposed changes to the bulk mass or scale of the building, but any exterior modifications would have to come to the architectural review. We did hold a public hearing with the Community Development Board on October 16th. The applicant's representative spoke in support of the project, and the board unanimously recommended approval, subject to 8 conditions. Just a couple of them. 2 bike parking spaces need to be provided with the Phase 2 building, and that these units must be part of the hotel and cannot be rented as short-term rentals. Can I answer any questions for you?
Any questions for Wendy?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, Steve.
Okay. Wendy, the bike parking that's based on some calculation of the number of units or something?
Or the number of parking spaces.
The number of parking spaces?
a percentage
Okay.
of the parking spaces.
It just seems a little weird, 2 parking spaces. This doesn't really
Yeah.
make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, all these hotels have bike.
Yeah,
to
I
share,
think
so I'm
maybe that's something we might want to take a look at, how we define how much bike parking we expect or what it looks like rather than individual spaces, but that's not for this
Well, it's
project.
like a bike rack, with 2 spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just strikes me as kind of weird that
that's kind of
that's
typical.
the wording in there.
No.
Rebecca, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a conversation with Wendy earlier about the retaining wall situation because I read through the packet, and at one point I thought that this project might not be eligible without updating to our current standards for the water quality. And so I also called the Flathead Conservation District to check on the retaining wall situation, and then I did a site visit. So do you want to just address what we talked about, or do you want me to say it under comments?
Either way, they had a retaining wall to the south of that's the current office building that was failing, and they got their permits to repair that, and that's okay. But any further expansion or encroachment or different type of setup would have to meet our water quality protection regulations and get a 310 permit, of course. But that's their responsibility, of course.
Thanks.
And just to clarify, the reason why there is an existing retaining wall between the 2 buildings that
Right.
is old and possibly needing to be replaced at some point. And so Wendy just, I think, clarified that that is not part of this packet, that
Right.
it wouldn't hold up this application,
Correct.
even though it doesn't necessarily meet our water quality standards because it came in before we established them.
Right.
Right.
So any changes to that will have to comply with those standards.
Great, thank you. We advertised for public hearing, and we'll open the public hearing now, and as is our custom, the proponent may speak first.
My name is Nick Caius. I represent the hotel owners as a construction manager. Just really quick, Steve, to your question, we will likely have more than just 2 bike spaces because we plan to have lots of bikes for use of the guests. I don't know if there was any other questions that council had. Maybe Rebecca, you're question about the retaining wall. So that center retaining wall does need some repair, but we've shored it up and repaired it to make it safe for the time being, and have a geotech working with us to give us a proper report on how we'll address that. And it may tie into some water protection, new stormwater work in the future. So.
Sure.
And down below, there's two other ones near the river that look pretty old, and like one of them might be failing. Are you looking at those as well?
So you're referencing the ones that are on the river side of the path. So there's a whole stormwater structure that's all connected to. Currently, those are dry wells. I think when we met there with Public Works, it was, and when we were meeting there with the Conservation District, they thought it would be better for now to leave those as is until we had some type of formal plan how to fix all of those, and it's all existing. So I think the consensus was it's better to leave it the way it is now than to disturb the riverbank further to address those at this time.
The reason why I have such an interest is because there were 4 buildings built without 310 permits in our town, and then the supervisors were upset with us for allowing that. And so I just wanted to make sure that going forward that everything is compliant, and so that we don't run into trouble because it's lacustrine soil all along there. The other question I had was, is this part of the Averill Hospitality group that's buying this then?
They manage the hotel.
Oh, they do, but
Yep.
they're not the owners of the hotel?
Well, the owner is Whitefish River Hotel LLC. So I think there's several investors that own that.
Okay,
Averill Hospitality being one of them.
okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anything else you'd like to speak with us about?
No, just really quick on the 310 permits. We did secure a 310 permit for the retaining wall repair we did there south of the building, and so FWP and the Conservation District is aware of the issues there, and we followed all the proper permitting for that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Any other member of the public wish to speak to us on this particular matter? Again, not a rush here in the council meeting. Anybody online? I'll close the public hearing now and turn it back to council for a motion.
Deputy Mayor, I move to approve WCUP 25-10 Whitefish Riverfront Hotel LLC, 920 and 940 Spokane Avenue.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Would you like to speak to your
I'd
motion?
love to speak to it. I'm very attached to that building. I lived in there for 15 years, since the ribbon cutting ceremony till when actually the old owner decided that they wanted to do, I think what you wanted to do, similar, and asked us to leave. That was Nation. I'm excited to see the floor plans because my office would become a beautiful bedroom, and the views from there, apart from the hot tub, are fantastic. So a little fun, a little history, but it used to be planned as a restaurant at the very beginning from the previous owners, but that never flew. So I actually believe it's a better use than the office use. It was always awkward, the parking situation between the office people and the hotel guests and so on. So I'm very excited about that development personally.
Is it on or is it off? All those in favor? All those opposed, like sign. Matter passes unanimously. Thanks very much. Now we're moving on to communications from our fire chief.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. The City of Whitefish issued a request for proposals to prepare the city's community wildfire protection plan. To evaluate and select the most qualified consultant, the city must form a rating panel and a selection panel. A rating panel consisting of city staff will
Cole,
review.
you may need to turn your mic on.
It is on.
Oh, okay. There you go.
The picture says
I'm
6
just
inches.
giving you feedback that I'm
Okay.
getting in my ear, so, okay.
Thank you.
You don't have the fancy orange light that we have.
Yeah. The rating panel consisting of city staff will review and rank proposals and establish a short list of firms for interviews. The selection panel composed of city staff and a city council member will conduct interviews and make the final recommendation for award. The updated CWPP will be based on a new wildfire risk assessment, identify mitigation strategies, and provide recommendations for future land use patterns. The planning process will include citizen participation and coordination with county, state, and federal agencies. The final plan will be incorporated into the city's growth policy in accordance with the Montana Land Use Planning Act. The RFP was issued on October 22nd, 2025, with proposals due on November 14th. The fire department anticipates interviewing the top firms from mid-November to early December with consultant selection by late December. While appointing a rating panel and selection committee does not require any specific financial requirement, the city's fiscal year 26 adopted budget appropriates $100,000 to update the community wildfire protection plan. The budget anticipates utilizing funds from the Pro Housing Grant that was awarded to the state of Montana in partnership with the Montana League of Cities and Towns to help communities comply with the new Montana Land Use Planning Act. However, we are still waiting for information about how to obtain such funding. While we have not been notified that the grant funds are no longer available, if we ultimately cannot utilize grant funds, then this project will be funded with cash reserves in the general fund. Staff respectfully recommends the following appointments. For the rating panel, myself, Fire Chief Hadley, Deputy Fire Chief Will Peterson, and City Manager Dana Smith. For the selection panel, the same city staff will be provided, as well as an appointed city council member or the mayor.
So what you're asking of this group is that we approve this process and approve this panel, as well as appointing a member of this council to participate. Is that what the
Yes.
ask is? Okay,
Yes.
great. Thanks so much. Does anybody have a burning desire to participate? You did that. I did say that on purpose. Actually, I actually do have an interest, and if somebody else doesn't have the interest in doing it, I'd be happy to do it. So there you go. All right. Will somebody make a motion?
Well, I move to proceed as requested and to nominate our deputy mayor in the committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Does it satisfy your needs, Cole? Okay. With that said, all those in favor? All those opposed, like sign. Passes unanimously. Thanks. Next, moving on, communications from our city manager. You have her report in your packet. Anything else, Dana?
I have nothing this evening.
Nothing additional this evening?
Nothing additional this evening.
Okay, great. Any questions for Dana on her report? Ben?
I was just curious from the city's perspective how Halloween went with the road closure and the Friday Halloween.
On our end, it went really well. I think the Columbia Avenue closure was greatly appreciated, and it spread people out quite a bit, so it looked a little less attendance, but I got confirmation there was about 200 more trick-or-treaters at one residence than there was last year. So we also had a football game that night. The Dogs won. That's where I was stationed and got to watch a football game on Halloween, which was like the best night ever. And then the downtown was pretty busy. The bars had their Halloween costume contest and created some lines. We had one missing child, but it was found quickly by our officers on Columbia Avenue. A couple DUI arrests, and I think there was a lot of candy handed out, so the dentists are happy. That's all I got.
Any other questions for Dana on her staff?
What were the two costumes that got arrested for DUI? I know you can't tell us the people, but.
I don't know. I didn't see him in costume. Okay. I think I was in bed at that time. As soon as the football was game, I was out.
All right. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to communications from the mayor and city councilors. And tonight, we'll start with Giuseppe.
Thank you. I have no comments.
Steve?
Thanks, Frank. I just want to reiterate what you wrote about or what you read about our proclamation about food safety. Angie, were you instrumental in drafting that?
She was.
Okay, nice job. That was very, I appreciated every word in that statement, and I teared up a little bit because I'm prone to do that. But we need to really, I hope everyone understands how serious this is, especially for the impact on children. Schools do get free, the state of Montana has provided free lunch and breakfast for all school children, but that's obviously not enough if you're hungry. So anyway, with that said, thanks again, council, for taking this seriously and moving very quickly on this one. The other thing I just want to, this is certainly not a priority, but I think we might want to take a look at what we require in terms of bike parking and find a way to make it not look so weird, like requiring 2 parking spaces. Maybe there's just some language we could incorporate that's called like a parking bay that includes a number of spaces or something, but it just doesn't, it seems a little awkward when we see that the condition is they have to provide 2 bike parking spaces. So anyway, it's the first time I've seen something like that. And in the past, I've added a condition to add more spaces. And I think that we can probably take care of that with a little change in the ordinance. And other than that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Dave, just correct me if I'm wrong. I think the requirement for the parking spaces really is space for 2 bikes, as opposed to 2 car parking places being dedicated to.
So what the ordinance reads is secure short-term bicycle parking must be provided in a convenient location at 1 space for every 4 dwelling units with a minimum of 2 spaces provided.
So spaces for bicycles, not.
4 bicycles.
So we're not occupying car parking spaces.
Nope,
Okay.
they have to be secure
Great.
bicycles.
Thank you.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about car spaces that are used for bicycles. I'm just saying there should be like a minimum of more than 2.
Oh.
Because the condition just looks funny that
Great.
we're creating 10 new hotel units and there's gonna be these 2 little, 2 single bike racks out there. Just seems kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but it just looks funny when you read it.
True. Ben?
I just want to throw my own 2 cents on the Halloween thing. I know we went out there and trick-or-treated both in downtown and in Columbia Avenue. I had a good number of people come up to me to say how nice it was that the street was closed. I know it certainly seemed like a much safer situation with our family, and in general, I just think it was a very nice change. So I just wanted to thank staff for helping facilitate that. I also would note so everybody knows that the police department had a tent out there in Columbia giving out candy, which I thought was a nice touch and caused my son to immediately declare he wanted to be a police officer for Halloween next year. So, good job.
We'll put him on our rolls when he's old enough.
And in that vein, I did also, Giuseppe, you had brought up earlier the concept of closing Central Avenue. If I understood you correctly, and that was an interesting thought, and I just wanted to know if you could expand on that a little bit.
Thank you. May I, Deputy Mayor?
Please.
Okay. The Bike Ped Committee has decided to ban the word closing. So it's an opening, a pilot to the pedestrian traffic of just 1 block. So it's not going to interfere with any crossing street. And the reason is the Bike Ped Committee and other bodies, active bodies in the city, have been promoted different ways of making downtown pedestrian. And I personally have been walking downtown, talking to businesses, and I found this discussion very polarizing and divisive. There are bodies and businesses who think it's a crazy idea that would kill their business, and other bodies and businesses who say, that's fantastic, I could put a tent out and serve whatever out there. And by the way, if you look at 38, which is like a pedestrian area within downtown, it's flourished because it was that way. So I said, you know what, as a representative of the community, I have my personal preference, but I'm not going to use that personal preference. I'm going to say, let's find a way to collect data points, and later we can decide. Because maybe it's not good for businesses, maybe it's good for business and the traffic and the community. And the best trade-off that I and the staff could come up with was a test of a very short time during the week, which is between Friday night and Sunday night, so it won't impact school days or other type of traffic, office days, and take one block, which is the most northern block of Central, which has fewer retailers and businesses, and open that to pedestrian activities, and take the next block and keep it as it is, I call it control block when you do statistical analysis. And then after a number of weekends, we will decide up front what parameters we want to measure. Is your business year over year increased during those days, decreased? Is the traffic worsened? And we decide what criteria. But at the end of the pilot, we go back to normal and we analyze the data. So we won't take any decision by gut feeling. So the Bike Ped Committee appreciated this trade-off. And for that reason, there was a motion and a unanimous vote to bring this idea forward, first to us, maybe proposing a work session or half of a work session to discuss that. I have some material that I have prepared with Kevin and Craig, and maybe evaluate if it's worth even considering a test to see if it makes sense to pursue it or not pursue it.
So this will be a council issue at some point, presumably before next summer.
Yes, we can put that on the agenda with, for hands up. We would probably schedule a work session. We don't have any work sessions available till January. And so you have some limited time, and just know you have the growth policy update coming, basically January through May, and zoning that you'll be going through. So we will have limited time, but I think we could fit it in on a work session. I do believe that this is something that you're going to have a lot of considerations to think about, open containers, garbage, those type of things that could become an issue with just if there is service on the right-of-way from those businesses that are on this block. Also, I think you need to hold a public hearing to get the input of businesses and members of the public, and that would be my recommendation instead of us just moving forward. And I'm not quite sure the mechanism of how we would do that, but do know that staff time to move barricades during non-business hours twice will be a cost that we would need to budget for as well.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if this request is to come forward, because it's a request that we do this, it's not like we're ordered to do it, is it the process would be, it's a recommendation from the Bike Ped that has to go through the park board before it comes to, okay.
It could go right to council. This isn't a park that we're discussing.
Okay.
It's a right-of-way.
All right, great, thanks.
Okay, so you would need the 4 council members to support putting this on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. I would support that, just so you know. Thank you.
Rebecca.
I'm not supportive of it because I think we've already discussed all of this as a community, but do you want me to do councilor comments, or are we
Yeah.
only addressing what Giuseppe's?
No, I think we go counselor comments.
Okay. I just wanted to address what Z was saying is we have had internal conversations about using our city's flag as a pride flag. There doesn't seem to be a lot of support for that now, but that doesn't mean that our community is not supportive of LGBTQ plus people, because we've always had people that are diverse in our town, and they're very important to our community. So I appreciate that she advocates for them, and I hope that people know that we love them, regardless if there's a flag or not. The other thing is that Sophie failed to mention that there is a $500,000 year-end campaign that the food bank is starting now, because they think that will be the gap between that they'll need to fill, because with people not having SNAP benefits, they will be utilizing the food bank more. So if people feel compelled to donate not only food but money, it will go a long way at this point. I brought the first donation, so I'm not sure how we're gonna implement this, but does staff want to talk about where the donations will be kept in the city hall, and how we'll get them over to the food bank?
I think we all brought donations. There's a box right outside the door that I put all the stuff that I brought in, so, yeah,
Okay,
so.
so we got 3 donations tonight? Okay, it started, the food drive has started. Okay, and the last thing is, I just wanted to say that if you are voting and you haven't sent your ballot in, it's too late to register, so you'll need to take it to Kalispell by 8 p.m. tomorrow. And that there's 3 incumbents running, and I definitely have enjoyed serving with all of them. And it takes quite a bit of selflessness to be a public servant, and a lot of curiosity, a lot of patience, and a sense of humor. So we're blessed with the people that I am up here with, and I appreciate every one of them. Thank you.
Andy, anything to say?
Question for Craig, because I've had this question asked to me many, many times since we reopened Railway west of Baker. The angled parking on the south side, are you supposed to back in or go in head on? Because it's a total mix, and if it's one or the other, we should sign it as such.
Yeah, so Railway west of Baker is still a one-way street, and it's signed as such. There is do not enter at Lupfer, and there's a one-way sign at Baker and Railway. All of the parking that's taking place there, the new parking on the south side of Railway, is strictly just construction related to the large house. But when that project is complete, we will make sure the signage is accurate. And it's intended to be head-in parking as you travel eastbound on First Railway, excuse me.
But it's one-way westbound.
No, it'll become two-way. It will become
It will become two-way.
It will
It's only
become
just one way
two-way,
because
and
of
so
the construction currently.
it'll be
Okay.
head-in parking. But right now, it's one-way westbound, and the vehicles that are parking there are just construction vehicles that are they're going the correct way down Railway, and then they're just backing into the parking stalls.
Okay, all right. That's my only question.
Okay.
And I have nothing further.
Great, thanks, Andy. On a note from myself, anyway, this evening, I have to say, Steve, that one of the things, or there are a couple of things that make me really happy to be able to sit up here, is to do things like we did tonight. It's the most gratifying. It's the right thing to do on every level, and it demonstrates just how much solidarity there is within this group for the right things. And so I couldn't be more pleased about it as well. And I think that anything any of us can do for the food bank between now and the end of the year and ongoing is appreciated and needed, and there's just not going to be enough. So anyway, that's all I have, and so thanks very much, and we're adjourned.